Good morning. How are you today? Well, it's about 90 degrees here, but you can't complain about that when the Pacific Northwest is getting three-digit numbers of like 113 degrees. And, maybe somebody would think that had something to do with global warming because these heat waves are coming with greater frequency. Talk about among the issues we should be considering, and we're not. And why? Because two things: Republicans think they cost money and that their businesses have to spend more. And so it's better that the whole planet spontaneously ignite and flame. Okay, no, they haven't said that. But if they do nothing, and if we're forced to do nothing, any number of disasters will occur. And some people today or tomorrow, because of the heat and doing even what they think is the best they can do, they will at least be harmed and hopefully not die. So there are three words that I think come to mind here that define the categories of everything that's going on in the nation: soap opera, triage, and hero. Soap opera. Every day we have people coming on and beating the same issues with the same discussions when the answers are really obvious now, right now. You don't have to do anything else. Let's choose one. The question of infrastructure. No conversation about the deal we have to tell us where the money comes to make that deal happen. And if it comes from gas and diesel revenue, fees, there are going to be Democrats who aren't going to be for that. And so it's not going to pass. Also, McConnell is really in a good position to say, hey, we're not going to vote for this, because he doesn't want to help Biden appear to be bipartisan, because that doesn't fit his midterm election scenario. Okay, so there's that. But we also know the Democrats are not going to agree to the mini proposal if the max proposal isn't going forward. And among other things, that includes the environmental issues. But we talk about it each day, soap opera, like something's happening. And we're doing the same thing with two other bills that are really important. S1, if we don't get elections right, none of this matters. We have to win the midterm. And I'm not talking about cheating. I'm talking about putting in place law that makes it fair, that makes it conform to the 13th, 14th, 15th Amendment, that makes it compared to the Voting Rights Act of 1965, that makes it viable under Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act of 1965. That's what we got to do. And then another issue is we had the sentencing, 22 and a half years, in the George Floyd murder case. Okay, so why doesn't that spur us to act with the George Floyd Justice Act? Hello? So this brings me to the second word, triage. Is there any issue more important than voting? No, because nothing happens if we don't vote for a representative body, meaning a democracy. Anything else falls short of that. So we have to call the soap opera what it is and call out the issues that really matter, and not defer to this dance that goes on day by day, turning over the same questions that are never completely answered, though the answers would kill the bill, and it will. We may all levitate if this thing passes, but I don't think we're going to levitate, because I don't think it's going to pass, because it doesn't fit the Republican strategy to tie us up and make it so that we, Dems, accomplish nothing. And that means those three things we're talking about: infrastructure, voting, and judicial reform. The system has to be reformed. Okay, so the triage is we should focus like a laser beam on voting. It's a key issue. People died for this issue. And then the final question is heroes. I don't know if any of you read him, but Joe McGinnis, many years ago in the 60s, wrote a book, Selling of the President. He was in his 20s. And it was talking about how Nixon ran his election. And it could just as well have been about a Democrat. And he wrote a book called Heroes. And I thought, I dug it out because I don't believe I ever read the whole thing and didn't focus on it the way I am now, expecting to see what he thought, being immersed back in that period with heroes and losers, if you will, or also rands or not so important people who just sort of plugged along. And the book starts with him with Robert Kennedy out in California the day he's killed. And I don't think he ever recovered from that, because the book is quarrelsome about what it means to be a hero, and quarrelsome about who is or might be a hero. And it's like he has to diminish it. The Irish are good at that. The question is, can you build something up and make something, a structure that withstands attack? And he couldn't do that. So what is the lesson from that? The lesson from that is we have such a period in America where people can't find the positive and accentuate the positive and decentuate the negative, and watch out for Mr. In-Between. And one of the reasons is that among our public officials, we don't have heroes. There are maybe a couple, but no one who comes and grabs the standard and runs into battle and calls us to follow. So we're just going to have to do it ourselves, like we've done it before. We're going to have to do it on all these issues that are kicking around, while we encourage them to stop the show. We don't need a soap. We need action. Focus like laser beams on something we need to accomplish, like voting. And finally, encourage people to be heroic, to take things in hand and put themselves at risk for America. You want a good example of risk. When in the 60s, the Freedom Riders went down to the South, they were told that when you come down here, you're going to be working hard. You're going to be at risk. It's going to be very dangerous, and you may die, as others have already. So are you ready to do that? Now, to get the vote in the 60s, not only were they apparently ready, exactly what was forecast happened. Where are those people today? They're the same people. But we have elected people who look down their nose and are more concerned about the wealthy class than the individual rights and liberties that are promised to us in this nation that right now is in remission. We need the promise restored. That's the only way this republic will work. And we have to stop hoping and pretending that the Republicans get it, because they don't. And the war is coming. Trump's out there again saying his crazy nonsense, and we're standing flat-footed, not in a fighter stance, ready to deliver a shot to the head. And that's what we've got to do. So, that was a less friendly preaching in my cathedral of trees. So, be careful about the heat, and it's good to talk to you today, and I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.